One of the first recorded Sex Pistols concerts in 1976. The British punk band who spearheaded a music revolution during one of the worst economic climates on record. And when the Sex Pistols played their first show in 1975, inflation in the UK had soared to nearly 25%, a crisis that culminated in London seeking a bailout. That's right, one of the world's most advanced economies went cap in hand to the International Monetary Fund for help. And inflation has been so low for most of the past decade, and fairly low for the 2 decades before that, that it's easy to forget it even existed. So this year has been a rude awakening for an entire generation of millennials, with prices soaring both in the UK and here in the US, and not expected to peak for some time. As inflation rose to nearly 7% in November, gas prices hit more than $6 a gallon in some parts of California.
I used to fill up my gas tank even like 2 years ago for like $50. Now it's $100.
And some supermarkets had to cover their empty shelves with decoys. For some, the defining images of a year when inflation wrong-footed even the US central bank.
What we missed about inflation was we didn't predict the supply side problems.
In some ways, this inflation cycle is a textbook case. After unemployment shot up to the highest levels since the Great Depression, the US economy roared back to life, helped by trillions of dollars in emergency stimulus and investment programs.
We're going to be building again. We're going to be moving again.
Interest rates held at near zero to ease financial conditions for employers and consumers were also a big factor. But when pent-up demand held down during the pandemic's first year was unleashed, some businesses struggling with ongoing labour shortages couldn't cope. A classic case of demand outstripping supply. And it was a reminder that even if the economy has been recovering strongly, people are still at COVID's mercy, demonstrated by the highly infectious Delta variant that tore across the US in the summer. And now the US is contending with the new Omicron variant amid uncertainty about how much harm it will do. Unemployment has at least fallen so much, it's not far off pre-pandemic lows, but inflation is still heading in the opposite direction.
Everything from a gallon of gas to a loaf of bread costs more, and it's worrisome.
The price of that gallon of gas is at least falling from those recent peaks, yet having predicted inflation falling throughout next year, the Fed isn't so sure. And next year, consumers used to an era of cheap borrowing will need to face up to another big shift in financial conditions, interest rates rising faster than policymakers planned to help rein in all that inflation.
What you said was mine.
So is it any coincidence that in this climate, Gustav, one of the year's most exciting new bands, are channeling the same angry energy as the Sex Pistols? Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.